Hey everyone, it's Miss Guy, and we are ready to jump into session 5, which talks about the social structure of our society and us as we interact with one another and the institutions within our society. You are going to begin this session by reading chapter 4 in your Pearson Revel text. You should be an absolute expert at all of that by now. And you will hopefully see throughout your chapter that we are taking a deep dive into the aspects of our society that make up our social structure. So we've already talked about culture quite a bit and socialization quite a bit. And so in this chapter, we're really going to hone in on social class, social status, our roles, the groups that we belong to, and the institutions that exist within our society. There's a great chart in your textbook that lists the major institutions that exist in our society, and it addresses each one of those and the roles that they play, the groups that they are involved in. So spend some time reviewing that as well. The chapter is going to spend quite a bit of time talking about all of these things that you already know about. You already understand that education is a part of our society. You already understand that we have a military function in our society. You already know there are politics that go on. But have you ever stopped to think about what their purpose is in our world? How do they aid in our society? What do they function to do? And what they contribute to our society, is it positive? Is it negative? Or is it positive and it needs some improvement? So think about some of those things as you go through our chapter 4 this week. One other thing that I want to bring to your attention when you are reviewing some terms called role strain and role conflict, you're going to see this particular figure within your text. And I love to bring this up because I feel like as a college student, you can really relate here. So a role conflict would be you have multiple roles going on at the same time. So in this figure, you can see you're a son or a daughter, you're a friend, you're a college student, you've got a job, and then you have all these things that start to push in on you. So maybe you have a family member that's hospitalized. Maybe your friends want to get together. Oh, well, your teacher is, giving an exam tomorrow. And then, somebody couldn't come in for their shift. And so now work is calling you. And you start to feel all of these roles in your life with all of these expectations on you start to push in on you. They start to create stress. That is what we call role conflict. When multiple roles are expecting things of you, and it's sort of like you just don't have enough time in the day, that sort of thing. Then we have something called role strain, meaning you have one role as a student, you'll see here on the right side of this figure, but you have multiple aspects of that role pushing in on you. I don't really care for the example that the book uses here in figure 4.4, but I'll give you another one. So let's say you have a math class, a science class, a sociology class, an English class, and you know what? Oh my goodness, you've got things due on Monday, a test on Tuesday, an exam on Wednesday. Now you've got a major essay due on Thursday. And so you just have all of these things coming on you as a student, and you're starting to feel that stress. And that is the true example of role strain. So in role strain, it really is only focusing on one role, so you as a student and all the pressures. And then in role conflict, this is focusing on all the roles that you hold. So your family, your student, your friend, your worker, so all of those roles and all of those expectations pushing in on you. Now, both of these cause stress in your life, whether it's role conflict or whether it's role strain, they can be very, very stressful. And so I always like to tell my students, take a look at this figure. Think about things that happen to you. When you start to feel that stress and that pressure, how do you make it out? Because if you are going to be successful in a college environment or in a career environment where you're juggling things at home and a career, how do you manage all of these conflicts and strains that come up? Students have different answers for that. One of the most common themes that I hear when I ask students those questions has to deal with time management. So, yeah, it's stressful, but you probably could get all of these things done if you are managing your time appropriately, if you're scheduling, if you're making to-do lists, if you're, not wasting time with other non-factor things. So watching out for those procrastination killers and all of that. So think about that as you read this chapter when you get to that role strain and role conflict section. So how can you make your life better by managing those role conflicts and those role strains? You will find that the social structure of your life gets better when you start to manage those roles. Okay, so you're reading chapter 4, you're completing quizzes 4.1 through 4.10 as you are reading, and then once you get to the end, you are completing that chapter 4 quiz at the completion of the Pearson Revel activities this week. Once you have completed all of that, you are going to work on the social interaction and performance journal. So we're going to watch another crash course in sociology video. Hopefully by now you know Nicole Sweeney and you're accustomed to what she has to say. She's going to talk about something in this video that I find interesting when students start to talk about Erving Goffman's dramaturgical analysis of social interaction, where he says the statement, all of life is a stage. He kind of brings that back up. And how we are essentially performing our roles as we go about our lives. So this journal is going to ask you to examine your social status and your social set, and it's going to ask you to identify achieved and ascribed statuses from those status sets that you list. You're going to learn all about that through reading the book and watching the video, so you're going to know how to answer that. And then the second question is going to ask you about those roles. So you have a status, and then you have a role that's attached to that. And then I'm asking you to explain what type of strains and conflicts do you have while you are performing those roles. So those are 3 questions for this week. Remember that you are answering in complete paragraph form, okay? You are using college level writing skills here, so don't forget that as you are working on your journals. They are a large portion of your grade. So we're going to copy everything that's in between the dotted lines. Click on the Start or Edit My Journal entry button. That brings us to our entry box. We are going to paste into there so our formatting is correct. And then once we type in our college level paragraph, we are going to change our entry to a different color font. That way our eyes can easily see that we have provided enough content and detail into our journal assignments. When we are done with that, we're going to click this blue Save Changes button, and that will submit it to Ms. Guy so she can grade it. And that is going to be the conclusion of your session 5. So as a reminder, this is due on Monday, February the 13th, no later than 11:55 p.m. Remember, the test, the quizzes and the test within Revel can be completed later for a penalty, but the journals cannot. I can actually see here that Moodle has the due date wrong for the journal, so I will make sure and correct that. But session 5 is due by 11:55 p.m. on Monday, February the 13th. And as always, if you have any questions or concerns, please make sure you send me an email. Have a great week, and I hope you enjoy learning a little bit more about the social structure of your world.